Hi, and welcome to Guru Grit. So today's video, I'm just gonna jump right in. It's about addressing the notion of competition when it comes to attracting a specific person. Based on a video that I had on TikTok that got quite a few views, in my opinion, I was really happy with it, and it opened this amazing discourse for how can you have what you want if other people want it too. So the first thing to understand when you're manifesting something is to address the notion of lack, doubt in the form of competition, is to go against your own self-interest. And because we live in this vibrational universe, of course, if you think it, it is. So if you say like, but 20 million other people who want, I think it was Chris Evans had the top, ranking for everyone in the comments, how can I be the one? Well, that's very easy, because the first thing to understand is attraction and manifestation, allowing, assuming, expecting. These things don't work for people who want something the most. They work for people who understand that it works for them. So the people who manifest the life they want are the people who believe they can have that life. In fact, the people who want money the most are the people who don't have it. And the people who have the most money are the people who just believe that they can. So it's a formula. It's not, energy is not biased or romanticized, sort of like, human beings' perspective of things. It's just very mathematical, and it works if you work it. So get to work. That's what I say, get to work. So if you think about it and you're like, well, I really want that, but I don't know if it wants me, hold up. You just sort of knocked yourself back a few notches. It's enough that you know that you want it. That's really all there is to it. And then just accept that you deserve it and that you can have it. End of story. You don't have to go into details. You can talk about why you feel you deserve it if it makes you feel better, but it's not, strictly speaking, it's not necessary. It's enough for you to know that you want it, period. So let's deconstruct this idea of competition and possibility, because the questions, like I think 90% of them were about famous people. So can you attract a celebrity specific person? I really don't see why not. And I'm not just saying that, to make you feel better. I really don't see why not. If you have a desire and you believe in your desire, then you can manifest your desire. That's it. That's all there is to it. If you really consider that, historically speaking, there's nothing new about this at all. Historically speaking, people have been marrying outside of their, economic status and social status for thousands of years. This isn't any different. So number one, nothing is new under the sun. It's been done before. It can be done again. It's not that hard. I mean this with all due respect. I'm sure some man who's gotten some fame and charisma because of a few movies or some such thing, or being in a band or whatever, is lovely. But you have to consider that historically, widows, people who were divorcees, people who were older than their mates, who already had children, went on to marry actual monarchs, something that we would deem impossible even today. and very, very rare indeed, and went on to topple nations and monarchies and reform society forever. They had so much influence, and the only reason it happened to them and not someone else who was already wandering around in court, had connections, had status, money, beauty, whatever. They didn't have a hold over that monarch, is because this person just didn't really think too much about it. They were like, well, I can have whoever I want. Cool. It unfolded for them. So never work against your own self-interest. So, if you could marry a king, who's like a Marvel man, who cares? You know what I mean? No disrespect. I just think you can have anyone. But if you view it as impossible, if you're like, yeah, but that's the dude that played this, or that's the dude that played that, it's like, oh my God, how would we even get in touch? Well, you're already pushing yourself back from your desire, right? And think about, in those days, they didn't even have social media. You would just have to meet them hoping that you'd be stood at the side of the road and the carriage would go by and maybe they would think you were good looking or your reputation spread around some villages about your beauty or your handsomeness or something, and that made its way back to the king's or queen's ear, right? It was so much more rare, and it was happening all the time. So this has been happening since time immemorial. So don't work against your own interest. Look at all the times it has happened. not all the times it hasn't. You know, even before social media, I think one of the Beatles married a receptionist at a record label. He walked in, thought she was pretty, boom, happily married, you know? Like, these things happen. These things happen all of the time. It can happen to anybody. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I said to raise your value. Now, in order to be valuable, you don't have to be like the thing that you want to attract by definition, but in essence you do. In essence you do. So you can say, you know, that woman is so good looking, I'm not attractive enough for her. Well, fair enough, then you're not. So it goes. But if you're like, she's so good looking, but I have value in myself because I'm accomplished, you know, maybe you're a marathon runner, maybe you do things for charity, maybe you have hobbies that give you confidence, that make you feel good about yourself, well then like attracts like. And she's gonna think like, hey, this person's really interesting, and you're gonna look at her and go, hey, this person's really interesting. And then you click on that level. So you don't have to be rich and famous yourself and have the same interests, but you do have to be interested in your life. If you know, wanna date, let's say, an actor or musician who actually likes what they do for a living, and you like what you do for a living, and you're a vet tech or a dental hygienist or a nail tech or, you know, an actuary, cellular biologist, whatever, okay? You both love your work. That vibration is there and it's ready to click, okay? So basically, reframe it in your mind. Think about what you have. Don't look at what you don't have, because you're acknowledging time and space, right? And like Abraham says, time and space mean nothing. Vibration goes everywhere. And now with like the internet, you really don't even have to leave your house to meet someone. I mean, it would help if you did, but you don't have to. So consider, like, you know, they don't have a lot of freedom to be mobile, though they have resources because they can be hounded by cell phones, by people, blah, 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 okay? So what's your value? Well, your value, you shelter them from that madness. When they're with you, they're in a world that has nothing to do with that world. Even if they love it, even if they love their work, okay? You give them something different. And truly in a pairing, you know, a growing, expansive relationship is one where it grows your world. You absorb each other's friends, interests, you learn new things. It's like exciting and fresh all the time. So think about that. Say, hey, with me, you'll feel stable. You'll have privacy. You'll have someone trustworthy, someone to confide in. And like I mentioned, you know, my next point in the TikTok video was, at the end of the day, we're all just human. You know, it's really that simple. We just want to be loved. We want someone to flow our love to. And we're lucky enough if someone flows it back. It's great. The luck has nothing to do with it. You create that as well. And so these people want someone to eat food with, confide in, have someone to hold them up, support them, have their back. And they're insecure, just like you or me. Like, we're mortal. We're all kind of physically gross and like a little bit unpredictable in that sense. So who cares? You know, we're all gonna have bad days. We're all gonna feel moody or volatile, but a relationship can be a stabilizing force. So don't get wrapped up in the idea that their life is somehow much more glamorous than yours, even if they're not in that world. Like, even if they're just someone that you know, like a crush that's doing really well in life, and you think, oh, but they would never talk to someone like me. It's like, but you can give them something, can give them a sense of support and presence. Like, I listen to you, I'm here for you, so you're valuable. Remember what you do bring to the table. Blasting music, I think that's a very good omen. It's like amplifying that message. So just remember your value, that you have value. You don't have to have what someone else has to like match them on that level. But the core essence is like one that, you know, maybe you care about something, you care about the environment or animal welfare or children, right? Like, you care about the foster care system, you care about whatevs, all right? And then this person is looking for a project to give their time to. They've got money to spend, they have success, they have no one to share it with, and they want someone to build a life with. And then they hear about you talking about it, and they message you, and they're like, that's wonderful. I would love to help you clean up plastics. I would love to help you ensure better safeguards for this to do with vulnerable people, right? So it's definitely doable. So don't forget that. So don't get caught up in that. And honestly, it happens so much more often than you think. My dear friend is like, I've like DM'd 5 famous dudes and I've got a response each and every time. And I was like, don't even. She's like, no, seriously, like a few months ago, she was watching something on Netflix. It was like trending. It was more than a few months ago now. And she's like, I was just curious. I just went on you know? And she's like, I just address them as I would want to be addressed, like a person of importance. And she's like, I am important. I'm accomplished. I work hard. I do my best. Like it's not about someone being better than the other person. It's two people who care about their life and care about their craft. And then you evoke that from each other. Okay, so that's the other thing. Now, yeah, I did think it was really cute about people thinking about possibilities. Like, but how will they ever message you? They don't even know who you are. Well, when you go there, you're thinking about how something is going to happen. That is none of your concern. You know, it's energetically, it's already done. So it has nothing to do with you. So when you try to figure out if you're gonna slide into their DMs, if you're gonna bump into them, if you're gonna go to this event, if you know someone who knows someone, you're already kind of trying too hard. And when you put out that energy, it makes you tired. Only do those things if you feel like really excited about them and you've got a lot of good energy flowing, you know, and obviously without saying always exercise courtesy and good manners and politeness and propriety, etc., and speak how you'd be spoken to, etc., how you'd want to be spoken to, etc. So I would say don't actually take action. Don't take action unless you feel like so high and drunk on that feeling that nothing will burst your bubble. Nothing will burst your bubble. And everybody's lived this to some extent where you've had a crush on someone and you told a friend and they're like, ew, and you were so happy the second before you spoke that sentence, and then boom, it went out the window. So if you speak it too soon, people are like, oh, but they won't bat an eye your way. They won't bat an eye your way. They're important. You're not important. And you're like, but you do it to everybody. Do you notice that? Take celebrities, just take them out of the equation. Take them out of the equation. It could be someone who works in the same office building as you, that you don't know their name, but you've seen them around. You will tell a coworker or friend and they're like, but you don't know if they have a girlfriend. You don't know. You don't know. It's like, the fact that you don't know is not the point. The fact that you want something is the point. You know what I mean? So to be optimistic and to put the energy out there and then leave it alone. One of my favorite quotes is from Neville Goddard, and oh, it just embodies it so well. It embodies it so well. And it plays off my other favorite example from Abraham. Basically, he says, when you want something, you think it, you intend it, right? You put some fuel on that fire, burning desire in your heart. You think about it intently, you get into a good high vibrational state. And it's like you're breathing, you're loving it, it's starting to make you smile when you think about it. And you like release it into the universe. And he says, and now leave it alone. Leave it alone. Do not lift a finger to make it happen, as you would not lift a finger to grow a baby once you found out you were pregnant. Once you're pregnant, you do nothing. You do nothing. It does itself. It figures itself out, okay? You don't get in there. Today you're gonna grow an ear, tomorrow a thumbnail, the day after maybe a toe or two, okay? It does it on its own. Your job is to be in your business. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. You can only support your pregnancy, right? Through proper care of yourself. Desire is the same thing. This is what Abraham says. They say, think about people who want children. They're so miserable when they don't have a child. And when they get pregnant, they're so happy. And we ask them, do you have children? They say, no, we have one on the way. They say, right, but you have nothing to feed, push in a stroller, swaddle in a diaper or a blanket. Why are you happy? They're like, because I have one on the way. They're like, but your desire is the same thing. The desire isn't here, it's not manifested, but it's on the way. So it's done. But you can't see it yet because you haven't birthed it. But it's done. So get happy about it. But what most people do is they think, you know, the pregnancy thing makes sense because you have a baby on the way because it's real and you can see it and it's there, but like a dream or a hope isn't. So I'll just be miserable until it shows up, and then it never shows up. But it's the same thing. Don't lift a finger to make it happen. You have to have trust. So I found I'm a person with a low trust quotient in general. I had to really work on that. I was like, how come I manifest this like literally in less than 10 minutes sometimes? Somebody will say, I wish I had a whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'd love that. And they go, yeah, but it never happens. And I'm like, oh, watch me. I want one. Done. Bang. Comes up, makes an example in front of them, example for me. It's funny. And then the other 90% of the things that I want, it's so hard because you don't have trust, right? So it's like you won't feel happy until that baby's in your arms, but a baby's on the way. so you're more than likely than not, you're gonna be happy. But desire works the same way. Just because you can't see it does not mean that it isn't there. And the bulk of everything exists in energetic form, which means for most of us, we don't perceive it physically, which means that we doubt it and we don't think it's real. But it is. And the only difference is you're the one. When you believe it, you see it. But you have to believe it to see it, not the other way around. If you say I have to see it to believe it, I'll tell you right here and now, you're gonna wait forever and it's never gonna happen for you. It's never gonna happen for you, ever. I've been reading charts a long time, and I can tell you 10 times out of 10, 10 out of 10, when someone asks a lukewarm question, a question with anxiety, sarcasm, lack of trust, flop energy, or like a lot of acerbic, like hit, sort of like, this stuff is so stupid. I cannot evoke a decent answer for you. I can't. You're not matching it. So if the universe has all the resources in all of existence, okay, it makes the sun turn in such a way that it doesn't blow us up and kill us or leave us in the cold and starve us out, in such a way that we can grow food and enjoy seasons, for the most part, and have an amazing, magnificent life. I promise you, it can deliver a crush to your doorstep, or at least your inbox. That same energy is what you have access to as a creator in the physical. But you've just believed too much that you have to be able to see it and touch it in order for it to be real. But it's actually real before you ever manifest it. This is why people sometimes, they're really grumpy for like a year and they manifest a relationship thinking it'll make them happy, but they just attract another grumpy person and now they're two grumpy people who are unhappy with each other. Or you take a year to be single and you think about being happy and you attract a happy person and now you're two happy people hanging out. So the moral of the story is this: don't doubt yourself. Looking at what is, looking at the facts. If the facts are not your friend, stop befriending those facts, okay? Daydream a little, chill out a little, and look at all the reasons why you can have what you want, not why you can't have what you want. And then just watch everything unfold for you. Start with a cup of coffee, start with a sweater or something that you want that's small. And then if it really hurts you to think about a crush, then I would suggest don't think about it at all. Think about what is working for you, not what isn't. Now, I hope this helps. I hope you had fun. I certainly did. I really loved the discourse and everyone's wonderful sense of humor on that video. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching and interacting with me, and I'll see you next time. Mwah.